Bush administration under fire in the wake of this Democratic report on CIA interrogations that came from the Senate. Former Vice President Dick Cheney calling that report many things, including deeply flawed.
He is in our possession. We know he's the architect. And what are we supposed to do? Kiss him on both cheeks and say, please, please, tell us what you know? Of course not. We did exactly what needed to be done in order to catch those who were guilty on 9/11 and to prevent a further attack. And we were successful on both parts.
This report says it was not successful.
The report's full of crap, excuse me. I said hooey yesterday. Let me use the real word.
Well, former Vice President's daughter was Liz Cheney, former Deputy Assistant Secretary of State and a Fox News contributor. He was reacting to Khalid Sheikh Mohammed. That's what the question was about there. Good morning to you.
Good morning, Bill.
Did your father know this report would read the way it does?
Well, he certainly didn't see the report before it came out, but I think for many years now it's been clear none of the people involved in the program were being called to testify or were interviewed for this report. The Republicans on the committee have been very concerned now for the years that this investigation, so-called investigation, was going on, that it was really just a partisan attempt, frankly, to trash the officers at the agency and the Bush administration. So I don't think it was a surprise when you had that kind of a very unprofessional, partisan, I would say shameful process, that you ended up with a product that matched that process.
We heard President Bush talk about this, I think, one time so far on camera. I'm assuming that your father will not stop his own public defense, will he?
No, obviously he feels very strongly that we did exactly the right thing, that the men and women at the CIA who conducted this program conducted it in a way that was absolutely lawful. The techniques were approved by the Justice Department. They were not torture, and they gained intelligence that saved lives and prevented attacks, and he will continue to defend them. You know, we here in Washington, obviously, it's a town where you often have politicians who conveniently support things when the public opinion is full of adulation for it, and then they head for the hills when things get tough. And you won't see that happen with my dad on this issue or on any issue, but this one in particular, you won't see him join the chorus of people like Senator Rockefeller, Senator Feinstein, Nancy Pelosi, politicians who are throwing these CIA officers under the bus.
Today you have a rare moment because the CIA director is going to talk about this and take questions. What do you think about John Brennan and perhaps the split you're seeing on this issue that's rather public within the administration?
Well, I think that, the fact that he's having what is just about an unprecedented press conference here is in large part because of the ongoing damage of this report. We can talk about the fact that they are clearly trying to rewrite history, and we need to make sure that doesn't happen. But this report that Chairman Feinstein really has honchoed and that she stood on the floor of the Senate and unveiled is doing lasting damage. It's doing damage to CIA officers and officials who we will need to do things in the future, who will wonder whether or not they're going to be prosecuted if they do. It's doing damage to our relationships overseas, and it's helping our enemies. And so I think that Director Brennan is clearly concerned about that. I think we've got to make sure that we do everything possible so that the agency and the professionals at the agency are able to focus on fighting and winning the war on terror when we've got enemies still trying to attack us. And I think, frankly, Senator Feinstein's legacy here will be forever marred by the fact that her name is on this report and that she's the one who released it.
Well, she had to know that before it came out. I mean, you would assume that she saw that coming. If you saw John Brennan's statement, it was long, it was lengthy, and he argues, much like Mike Hayden did yesterday in our program, that they're still gaining information from the interrogation that took place 10 years ago. The other point that Hayden talked about, I'll get you to react to this because you alluded to it, about how the agency has since kept us safe, and that too does not satisfy Washington. Listen, then react.
Now that we've made everyone feel more comfortable, they've stopped complaining that we're not doing enough to keep them safe. Now, since we've made them feel safe again, they start complaining that we did too much.
Do you see that as the direction for this debate?
I think that General Hayden's absolutely right, that you have a situation where, as I said, there are people that just blow with the political winds. And We've got to have people who've got the courage of their convictions, who've got steel in the spine, people who will lead us and do the right thing, even if it may, cause them to be criticized publicly. And I think certainly, you've got the White House right now. If the president really wanted to do the right thing here, he would not be embracing this report. He would be standing up and defending the folks at the agency. He would not have said we abandoned our values. He would not be calling this torture. Every day that goes by that he doesn't stand up and say those things is a day that he's adding to the damage done at the CIA, at our intelligence agencies, and frankly making it more difficult for us to win the war on terror.
If you heard that interview on Univision or Fusion TV with Jorge Ramos, it seemed like he wanted to have it both ways. Did you hear it that way?
It certainly seems that way, because he's now got his own CIA director who is more in agreement with Dick Cheney than he is with Barack Obama. And yet the Obama administration wants to continue to stand up and say, we abandoned our values after 9/11. He went to Cairo in 2009 in that famous speech and said just that. And he's saying it again now, day after day after day. And it's disgraceful to say that. It's disgraceful to say, to really perpetrate such lies about the people who kept us safe. And it's damaging going forward, too, because it affects how we can defend the country in the future from those same enemies who still want to attack and destroy us.
Liz Cheney, thank you for your time out of Washington
Thanks, Bill.
today. Appreciate it.
Good to be with you.